Hi, I'm Randall with Wasatch Warhammer Gaming, and we're going to do a how to play Warhammer Underworld's Night Vaults. This is the second expansion in the Warhammer Underworld universe, and we're just going to show you how to play it. Alright, so we're going to go over the how to play of Warhammer Underworld's Night Vault. We're going to start with the cards. So on the card here, I'm using the Briar Queen as an example. So we have her name, and we have this crown symbol. That means she is the leader of the warband. This little symbol right here is new. It is the wizard's symbol. So whenever she casts a spell, she has 2 dice for that spell. And then we have her attack. We have the range, so she can attack 2 hexes away. The number of dice she's going to use for that attack and what she's looking for on that attack die. So she is specifically looking for swords, which is this. And then we have the number of damage it deals to whenever she hits with that attack. And then we have her ability that she requires to inspire. So her inspiration trigger is whenever she's adjacent to an enemy fighter at the beginning of the activation. And then we have her movement. This is how many hexes she can go. We have her defense ability, which is number of dice. And then you are looking for the dodge symbol, which is this one. And then we have the number of wounds she can take before she dies. And then we have right here her abilities. So her ability is whenever she moves, she can treat lethal hexes as normal hexes, and blocked and occupied hexes she can just move right through as long as she ends in an empty hex. So when she inspires, her stats get better. So the main difference for the inspiration is her attack. So she just deals 1 extra damage with that attack. Alright, we are going to do the dice now. We have our defense dice, our attack dice, and our magic dice. So on each die, you notice that they all have the exclamation point. That is a critical success. No matter what, that is always going to succeed. And then for our next magic die, we have our magic symbol channel, which is lightning bolts. You're going to see that come up during spells. And then we have our magic symbol focus. Same with the channel. We're going to have that come up in spells. Moving on to the attack dice, we still have our critical success. We have our attack symbol smash. We have our attack symbol fury. We have our 2 supports. So supporting is when you have characters that are adjacent to each other for an attack or for defense. This is if you have 1 character adjacent, and this is if you have 2 characters adjacent. And finally, we have our defense dice. We have our critical success, we have our defense block, and we have our defense dodge. And we also have our 2 supporting dice. Alright, we are now going over the board. So each board is going to just be a standard array of hexes like this. So each of these symbols and colors mean something. So these hexes right here, they are starting hexes. When you set up your character at the beginning of the game, they will always start in a starting hex. And then we have these white out hexes. Those are impassable terrain, so you can't go over them. You have to go all the way around them if you want to get around them. And then these red hexes here are lethal hexes. If you move through those hexes or end your movement in that hex, you take 1 damage. And then we have objectives which get placed on the hexes. They cannot be placed in a lethal hex, a starting hex, or a impassable hex. Alright, now we're going to talk about how to set up the boards. So each person is going to take 4 dice, Doesn't matter what dice, they all have the same number of critical successes, which is what we're looking for. So you're going to take 4 dice, you're going to roll them, and you're going to count how many critical successes you have. So the player with the white dice rolled 1 critical success. So that means they get to choose what board they want and where they're going to place it. So let's say I'm the person with the white dice. I'm going to place my board right there. Now the other player gets to choose their side of the board, whatever side they want to pick, and they can align it however they want, as long as there's a minimum of 3 hexes touching. Alright, so once you've rolled to decide how boards are placed, you are then going to roll again and see who gets to place their objective token first. So in a standard 2-player game, there's going to be 5 objectives. So once you roll, you're going to flip them all upside down, shuffle them up, so it's randomly placed, so you don't know where it's being placed. So the person who won the roll gets to place an objective. So they cannot be in any starting hex, blocked hex, lethal hex, or along any of the edges. So for example, we're just going to put that one there. They can go anywhere on the board, your side of the field or theirs, doesn't matter. We're just going to put this one here for now. We're going to put this one here, this one here. Now, since we have our last objective, this can go on an edge. Alright, now that we have all of our objectives placed, we are going to place our characters. So you're each going to roll off again, and then the winner gets to choose whether or not they place first. So let's just say that the Stormcast player won their roll. They get to choose what side of the board they're going to place on, and then they're going to place any one of their characters in any of the starting hexes. So we're going to place the leader right there. Now it's going to alternate to the Nighthaunt player. We're going to place that there. It's going to just alternate back and forth. So now that the Stormcast player is out of people to place, they are then going to get a +1 critical bonus to their roll to determine who goes first. And since there are no more Stormcast to be placed, we are just going to finish placing all the rest of the Nighthaunt. Alright, so the actions, there is a move action which allows you to move the hexes stated on the card. So for Varclav the Cruel, he has a movement of 3 hexes. So, for example, he goes 1, 2, 3. And then once I do an action, then it's the opponent's turn to do an action. Another action is an attack action, where you take the dice stated on the weapons card. So for Varclav the Cruel, he has a range 1 attack, which with 2 dice, and he's looking for the hammer symbol, and when he hits, he deals 2 damage. Another action to do is a charge action, which allows you to do your full movement and then do an attack immediately. So, for example, 1, 2, 3, and then we do an attack. The last basic action you can do is going on guard. So going on guard allows you to count both of the successes. This is the on guard token. Allows you to count shields and dodges. Alright, so also with movement, when you're done with your movement, you are going to use one of these tokens to state that you have moved. This means you cannot move again with that character. And if you charged, we have this one, which shows a charge and then an attack. You cannot do a movement, an attack, or any other action with that character. Certain characters, such as Lord Claw the Cruel, has a special action stated on his card. His action is push all friendly chain rasps up to 2 hexes. So, instead of doing one of the basic actions that we went over, he can instead spend his action to make all of these chain rasps move. Excuse me. Like so. Alright, some attacks are spells. They're stated on the character's card. For example, Stormsire, he has a spell which is a range that has 3 hexes. It requires a focus to cast and deals 1 damage. The amount of dice he gets is stated on his card next to his name, which is the wizard power. There's also attacks that have range. So, for example, the Briar Queen here, she can attack up to 2 hexes away, so 1, 2. Alright, so how to win Warhammer Underworld is to get glory points. And you get glory points by either slaying an opposing character or completing objectives which award a certain amount of glory points per card. It is stated on the card how many points it's worth. Okay, so you can play ploy cards at the end of each activation. Card play goes alternatively between players. There's, besides ploy cards, there's upgrade cards. Those specifically go on characters. And then besides upgrades and ploys, there's now a new type of card, which is a spell card or gambit card. These are played just like ploy cards. There are certain ploy cards and gambit cards which have a reaction. When a reaction is triggered, it's usually triggered by an event, such as a person hits you and takes you out of action. You can then play a reactionary card to deal the attacker 1 damage. So, to start the game, you each roll off, and since the Storm class players had placed all their figures first, they get the additional critical success. For example, we're just going to say that the Storm cast go first. So to start, you then flip over all your objectives to see where they are placed, because certain cards are affected by objectives, whether you want to capture them or just stand on them to do so. There are 4 actions. They alternate, so this is going to be an action token. It's going to show you, and then you flip it over as soon as you're done. So, for example, in action, movement. So, Stormcast have used one of their 4 actions. So, once each of the 4 actions for each side are done, that is a turn. There's 3 turns in the game, and then the game is over. Now that we have explained how to play, we are now going to show you a game between us.